The cargo ship landed on Zarion 7 with a heavy thud. Marcus Webb sat in the pilot's seat and stared at the red dust covering everything outside. He had been making supply runs to mining colonies for 5 years now. This place looked like all the others. Ugly, hot, filled with people who did not want to be there. He checked his delivery manifest. Medical supplies, food packages, and mining equipment. Standard stuff. The pay was good enough, and Marcus needed the money. Being a single dad had been expensive. Being a single dad with no daughter anymore was just empty. Marcus reached over and touched the small metal lunchbox sitting on the co-pilot seat. It was pink with faded flowers on it. Emma had picked it out herself when she was 6. She had used it every day for school until she got sick. That was 2 years ago. She never made it to her 9th birthday. He picked up the lunchbox and held it for a moment. It still had her name written in permanent marker on the side. Emma Webb. Sometimes he forgot why he kept flying these routes. Then he would touch this box and remember. He had to keep moving. Stopping meant thinking, and thinking hurt too much. Marcus grabbed his jacket and opened the ship's door. The heat hit him like a wall. Zarion 7 was a desert planet with 3 suns. The temperature never dropped below 40 degrees. He walked down the ramp and headed toward the main colony building. A Krath overseer met him at the entrance. The Krath were tall, almost 3 meters high, with thick gray skin and 4 arms. They controlled most of the mining operations in this sector. They were not known for being kind. "You are late," the Krath said. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. "Had engine trouble," Marcus lied. "Where do you want the supplies?" The overseer pointed to a large warehouse. "There, unload quickly. We have quotas to meet." Marcus nodded and walked back to his ship. He had done this job 100 times. Load the cargo hauler, fly to the colony, unload, get paid, leave. Simple, easy. It kept him busy. He was halfway through unloading when he heard the sound. It was a small cry, almost like a hurt animal. Marcus looked around and saw movement near the pit entrance. The pits were where they mined the crystals. He had never paid much attention to them before. A small figure stumbled out of the dark hole in the ground. It was a girl. She looked maybe 10 years old. She was thin, covered in dust and cuts. Her clothes were just rags. She was carrying a bucket filled with glowing blue crystals. The bucket looked too heavy for her. The girl took 3 more steps and fell. The bucket spilled and crystals scattered across the ground. She did not get up. A Krath guard walked over. He looked angry. "Get up!" he shouted. "Those crystals are expensive." The girl did not move. She was shaking. The guard kicked her in the side. Not hard enough to kill, but hard enough to hurt. "I said get up." Marcus felt something cold spread through his chest. He watched as the girl slowly pushed herself up. She was crying. She started picking up the crystals with bleeding hands. "Move faster," the guard said, "or you go back down for another shift." The girl nodded and worked faster. Her hands were shaking so much, she kept dropping the crystals. She finally got them all back in the bucket. The guard pointed at the pit entrance. The girl picked up the bucket and walked back toward the darkness. As she passed Marcus, he saw her face clearly. She was human. She had brown hair and green eyes. She was clutching a small doll made from twisted wire and cloth scraps. Something inside Marcus broke. It was not a loud break. It was quiet, like ice cracking on a lake. He watched the girl disappear into the pit. Then he looked at the lunchbox in his hand. Emma would have been that age now. Marcus finished unloading in silence. His hands moved automatically while his mind worked. He counted at least 12 more girls coming out of the pits during the next hour. All of them were young. All of them looked half dead. Some were human. Others were from different species. None of them looked older than 14. He found the overseer again. "What is this place really mining?" Marcus asked, trying to sound casual. "Luminite crystals," the Krath said. Very valuable, very rare, only found in narrow veins deep underground. And the girls? Efficient workers, small, can fit in tight spaces. Adults are too big. The overseer said this like he was talking about tools, not people. Marcus felt sick. Where do they come from? The overseer looked at him with cold eyes. That is not your business. You deliver supplies. That is all. Ask too many questions and you stop getting contracts. Marcus nodded and walked away. He got his payment and returned to his ship. He sat in the pilot's seat for a long time. He should leave. This was not his problem. Getting involved would be dangerous, stupid. He had no one to take care of anymore, no reason to take risks. But he kept seeing that girl's face, kept seeing her bleeding hands and her wire doll, kept seeing Emma in her place. Marcus opened the lunchbox. Inside was the last photo of Emma. She was smiling at the camera, missing her 2 front teeth. On the back, she had written in crayon, "I love you, Daddy. You are the bestest." He closed the lunchbox and started the ship's engine. But he did not leave. Instead, he moved the ship to a different landing pad, one with a better view of the pit entrance. Marcus was going to stay for a while. He needed to see more. He needed to understand how this place worked. He touched the lunchbox again. "I could not save you, baby girl," he whispered, "but maybe I can save them." The suns were setting on Zerion 7. Marcus watched as more girls came out of the pits. He started counting. He started planning. He did not know what he was going to do yet, but he knew he was not leaving them in the dark. Marcus stayed on Zerion 7 for 3 days. He told the colony administrators his ship needed repairs. It was another lie, but they did not care. As long as he paid the landing fees, they left him alone. He spent those days watching, learning. The colony followed a strict schedule. The girls worked 16-hour shifts in the pits. They got 2 small meals a day. They slept in a locked barracks that looked more like a prison. Guards were everywhere, but Marcus noticed something important. The guards never went into the pits. The Krath were too big. Their thick bodies could not fit through the narrow tunnels. That was why they used girls. Small bodies could reach the crystal veins that machines could not touch. On the 4th day, Marcus left Zerion 7. He had another delivery to make, but he came back 2 weeks later, and 2 weeks after that. Each time he stayed a little longer. Each time he saw more. He learned that there were 47 girls working in the pits. The youngest was maybe 6 years old. The oldest was 14. They came from 7 different species, all bought or stolen from poor families across the sector. The Krath paid local criminals to supply workers. Nobody asked questions. Nobody cared about missing children from forgotten planets. Marcus started taking risks. He would walk near the pit entrance during shift changes. He would drop things and take time picking them up, watching everything. One day, he pretended to get lost and ended up near the barracks. A guard chased him away, but not before he saw the conditions inside through a window. Dirty mattresses on the floor, no windows, 1 toilet, 47 girls living in a space meant for 10. He wanted to fight every guard he saw, wanted to burn the whole colony down. But Marcus was one man. The Krath Empire controlled hundreds of worlds. Starting a fight would get him killed and change nothing. So he thought. He planned. He remembered his old life before Emma, before cargo hauling. He used to work construction. He knew about structures, tunnels, physics. He knew how things worked underground. During his 5th visit, Marcus got his chance. He was unloading supplies near the pit entrance when one of the girls came up. She was older than the others, maybe 13. She had scars on her arms and a hard look in her eyes. She was carrying empty water containers. "You come here a lot," she said quietly. She looked around to make sure no guards were listening. Marcus nodded. "I make deliveries." "No," the girl said. "You watch." "Why?" Marcus hesitated. Then he reached into his jacket and pulled out Emma's photo. I had a daughter. She would be your age now. The girl looked at the photo. Something in her expression softened. She died? Yes. My name is Zira, the girl said. I have been here 3 years, longest of anyone. Most girls do not last that long. Marcus felt cold. What happens to them? Accidents? Sickness? The tunnels collapse sometimes. The Krath say it is the cost of business. Zira filled her water containers. Why are you really here? Marcus looked at this brave girl who had survived 3 years of hell. I do not know yet, but I cannot leave you all here. Zira studied his face. You are human. I heard humans are stupid, do crazy things. We do, Marcus said. Good, Zira said. We need crazy. She walked away before the guards noticed them talking. That night, Marcus sat in his ship and spread out everything he knew. He had drawn maps of the colony from memory. He had guard schedules. He had layouts of the barracks and the pit entrance. But he did not have the most important thing. He did not know what was inside the pits. The next morning, Marcus went to the colony administrator. He was a Krath named Grell. Marcus had bribed him before to extend his stay. I need access to the pit schematics, Marcus said. I am thinking of bidding on supply contracts for underground operations. Need to see what equipment you use. Grell looked suspicious. Why? Marcus put 500 credits on the desk. Because I pay well for information. Grell took the money. Wait here. He came back with data files. Marcus copied them to his device and left quickly. Back in his ship, he opened the files and studied them for hours. The pits went down 3 kilometers. They branched out like tree roots, following the crystal veins. The tunnels were narrow, some barely 1 meter wide. At the bottom was an old service tunnel from when the colony was first built. It had collapsed years ago. The Krath had sealed it off and dug new shafts instead. Marcus looked at that collapsed tunnel for a long time. According to the maps, it led outside the colony walls. It came up almost 2 kilometers away in the desert. If someone could clear that collapse, they could walk right out. But the Krath thought it was impossible. The tunnel was too far down, too unstable. It would take industrial equipment to clear it safely, but Marcus was thinking about something else. He was thinking about 47 girls who spent every day moving rocks and crystals. He was thinking about human determination. He was thinking about what people could do when they had no other choice. He found Zira again the next day. I need you to tell me everything about the tunnels. Every detail. Can you draw me a map? Zira looked scared and hopeful at the same time. You have a plan? Maybe, Marcus said, but it will be dangerous. Harder than anything you have done. And it might not work. What is it? Marcus showed her the schematic of the collapsed service tunnel. We open this. All of you walk out. Zira stared at the map. The Krath say this is impossible. They tried for weeks. The Krath use machines, Marcus said. I am going to use something better. What? Marcus looked at her. You. All of you. I will teach you. Bring you tools. But you will have to do the work. I cannot do it for you. It has to be done in secret, little by little. How long will it take? Months, maybe. And I will need to convince the guards to let me into the pits. I will need to get supplies down there without anyone noticing. Marcus touched the lunchbox he always carried. I am going to need help. Zira was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, When I was first brought here, I cried every day. I prayed someone would save us. No one ever came. The other girls gave up hoping. But now you are here, a human who carries his dead daughter's lunchbox and thinks we can move a mountain. Will you help me? Marcus asked. Zira nodded. Yes, we all will. What do we do first? Marcus smiled for the first time in 2 years. First, I need you to trust me. Can you do that? Yes, Zira said. Humans are stupid. But maybe that is what we need. Getting into the pits was easier than Marcus expected. He bribed Grell with 1,000 credits and a bottle of expensive alcohol. He told the administrator that he wanted to inspect the tunnels personally. He was thinking of investing in mining operations. Grell did not care about the truth. He cared about money. 1 hour, Grell said. The girls will be on meal break. You stay in the main shaft only. Do not wander. Marcus agreed. He carried only a weak headlamp and Emma's lunchbox. The guards looked at him like he was crazy. Nobody went into the pits by choice. The entrance was just a hole in the ground with metal stairs going down. Marcus climbed down slowly. The air got hotter with each step. After 50 meters, the stairs ended. Now there was only a narrow tunnel carved into rock. Marcus turned on his headlamp. The tunnel was barely wide enough for his shoulders. The walls were rough and sharp. The floor was uneven. He could see why the Krath could not fit. He could barely fit himself. He walked deeper. The heat became almost unbearable. His shirt was soaked with sweat. The air tasted like metal and dust. After 10 minutes, he reached a wider chamber. This was where the girls took their breaks. They were all there, 47 girls sitting on the ground, eating small pieces of bread and drinking warm water. They looked like ghosts in the dim light, thin, dirty, exhausted. When they saw Marcus, they froze. Zira stood up. "This is the human I told you about. His name is Marcus." The girls stared at him. Some looked scared. Others looked angry. A few looked too tired to care. Marcus set down the lunchbox and opened it. Inside were protein bars, water purification tablets, and small medical supplies. "I brought these for you," he said. Nobody moved. They had learned not to trust adults. A small girl, maybe 7 years old, finally spoke. She was from a species Marcus did not recognize. She had blue skin and large eyes. "Why?" she asked. Marcus sat down on the ground. He wanted to be at their level, not standing over them. "Because nobody should live like this, because you are children, because it is wrong." "Many things are wrong," Zira said. "Nobody fixes them." "I know," Marcus said, "but I want to try." He pulled out Emma's photo and showed them. "This was my daughter. Her name was Emma. She died 2 years ago. She was 8. His voice cracked. "I could not save her, but maybe I can save you." The girls looked at the photo. The small blue girl walked over and touched it gently. "She looks nice." "She was," Marcus said. "She was brave too, just like all of you." "We are not brave," another girl said. She was human, maybe 12 years old. "We are just alive." "Being alive here takes courage," Marcus said. "Every day you wake up and keep going. That is brave." He spent the next 30 minutes talking with them. He asked about the tunnels. He asked about the work. He asked about their lives before. Some girls talked, others stayed quiet. But they all listened. When his hour was almost up, Marcus told them his plan. "There is a collapsed service tunnel at the lowest level. It leads outside the colony. If we can clear it, you can escape." "Impossible," one of the older girls said. "The Krath tried. They gave up." "The Krath used machines," Marcus said. "We will use something they do not understand. We will use determination, teamwork, hope." "Hope does not move rocks," Zira said. "No," Marcus agreed. "But it gives you the strength to try. I will bring you tools, small tools that I can hide in supply shipments. You will work on clearing the tunnel during your breaks, little by little. It will take months, maybe longer. But it is possible." "What if the guards find out?" the small blue girl asked. "Then we will all be punished," Zira said quietly. "Or killed." The chamber went silent. Marcus knew what he was asking. He was asking children to risk their lives on a plan that might not work. He was asking them to trust a stranger. "I cannot promise this will work," Marcus said. "I cannot promise you will not get hurt. but I can promise I will do everything I can to help you. I will come back every week. I will bring supplies. I will teach you what you need to know." He held up the lunchbox. Emma loved this box. She took it everywhere. When she got sick, she kept it next to her hospital bed. After she died, I could not throw it away. It was all I had left of her. He looked at each girl. "I want you all to sign this box. In your language. Your name or a symbol. Something that means you. When we succeed, this box will be proof that you were here, that you survived, that you refused to give up." A girl with scars on her face spoke. "And if we fail? If we die trying?" Marcus met her eyes. "Then at least you die fighting, not giving up, not accepting this. You die as warriors, not victims." Zira took the lunchbox. She used a sharp rock to scratch her name into the metal. Then she passed it to the next girl. One by one, they all signed it. Some wrote names, others drew symbols. The small blue girl drew a flower. When they finished, Marcus took back the lunchbox. It was covered in scratches and markings. It was beautiful. "I will guard this with my life," Marcus said. "It is no longer just Emma's box. It is yours too, our box, a promise between us." The hour was up. Marcus had to leave. As he walked toward the tunnel exit, Zira called after him. "Marcus, are all humans like you? Crazy enough to help strangers?" Marcus thought about it. "Some are, the good ones, the ones who remember that we are all human, or whatever species we are. We all deserve dignity, freedom, a chance." "The Krath think we are weak because we are small," Zira said. "The Krath are wrong," Marcus said. "Size does not measure strength. Heart does. And you girls have the biggest hearts I have ever seen." He climbed back up to the surface. The bright light hurt his eyes after the darkness. But he kept walking. He had work to do. Over the next weeks, Marcus became a regular visitor. He found ways to hide tools in his cargo shipments. Small hammers, chisels, rope, pulleys. Each item was carefully concealed in false compartments. The guards never checked carefully. Marcus was a familiar face now, just another cargo hauler. He went into the pits twice more, teaching the girls about physics, about leverage, about how to move heavy rocks safely, about building supports so tunnels would not collapse. The girls learned quickly. They were smart and motivated. Slowly, very slowly, they began working on the collapsed tunnel. They did it during meal breaks when guards were not watching. They hid the cleared rocks in side passages. They worked in silence, afraid of being discovered. Marcus watched them become a team. Zira became their leader. She organized shifts and made sure everyone stayed safe. The older girls protected the younger ones. They shared food and water. They helped each other when someone got hurt. The lunchbox stayed with Marcus, but he brought it down every visit. The girls would touch it for luck. It became their symbol, their promise to each other. 3 months passed, then 4. The tunnel was still blocked, but progress was being made. Marcus could see hope returning to their eyes. They smiled more. They talked about what they would do when they were free. Then everything went wrong. The guards noticed something was wrong. The girls were producing fewer crystals each week. They looked more tired. They were slower coming up from the pits. Grell called for an inspection. He sent guards down into the tunnels with lights and scanners. They were checking to see if the girls were stealing crystals. They were looking for problems. Marcus heard about the inspection too late. He was 2 days away on another delivery. He tried to rush back, but his ship could only go so fast. He felt sick the entire flight. If they found the cleared tunnel section, if they found the hidden tools, everything would be over. When Marcus finally landed on Zarion 7, he ran to find Zira. She was in the barracks yard during the short exercise period. Her face was bruised. Her lip was bleeding. "What happened?" Marcus asked. "They found tools hidden in the side passage," Zira said quietly. They know someone has been helping us. They questioned all of us, beat some of the younger girls. Her voice shook with anger. I told them I found the tools. I told them it was only me. They did not believe me, but they had no proof of anyone else. Marcus felt rage building inside him. Are you okay? Are the others okay? We are alive, Zira said, but Grell has ordered public punishment. Tomorrow. They are going to make an example of me. They want to scare the others. No, Marcus said. I will not let that happen. You cannot stop it, Zira said, and you cannot be seen defending me. If they connect you to this, they will kill you. Then who will help the others? Marcus knew she was right, but he could not accept it. How close are you to clearing the tunnel? Maybe 2 more weeks of work, Zira whispered. We are so close. But now they will be watching us every moment. We cannot finish it. That night, Marcus sat in his ship and made a decision. He could not wait 2 more weeks. He could not watch Zira be punished. He could not leave these girls here any longer. He was going to do something stupid, something crazy, something very human. Marcus spent the night modifying his ship. He still had some military-grade equipment hidden in storage from his old life. Things he had promised himself he would never use again. He had left that life behind when Emma was born. But desperate times needed desperate measures. He also sent a message on an encrypted channel. It went to the Galactic Council Enforcement Division. The message contained everything: photos of the girls, videos he had secretly recorded, copies of the pit schematics, proof of the Krath operation. He gave them the coordinates of Zerion 7 and asked for immediate intervention, but he knew help would not arrive in time. The council was slow, bureaucratic. They would need to verify his claims, send investigators, follow procedures. That would take weeks, maybe months. The girls had hours. The next morning, Marcus flew his ship close to the colony. Too close. The traffic control officer yelled at him over the radio. Marcus ignored him. He was looking at the pit entrance, looking at the gathered crowd. They had brought all the girls up from the tunnels. They were forced to stand in lines and watch. Zira was in the center, her hands tied behind her back. Grell stood beside her with a shock rod. He was going to make her an example. Marcus saw the small blue girl crying. He saw the human girl with scars looking away. He saw 46 girls watching their friend about to be hurt, and they were powerless to stop it. Not anymore. Marcus pushed his ship's engines to full power. He aimed directly at the pit entrance. The traffic control officer was screaming now. Warning alarms blared. Guards were running, trying to understand what was happening. Marcus whispered to Emma's photo, "I am sorry. Baby girl, Daddy is about to do something dangerous, but I think you would understand. I love you." Then he crashed his ship through the colony's outer fence and straight into the pit entrance structure. Metal screamed, concrete shattered. The impact threw Marcus forward against his restraints. Pain exploded through his chest. Something broke, maybe ribs, maybe worse. But the pit entrance collapsed. The guards were scattered. Smoke and dust filled the air. Chaos erupted everywhere. Marcus kicked open his damaged ship door and stumbled out. He was bleeding from his head. His vision was blurry. But he could see the girls. They were running in the confusion. Zira was free, her bonds broken in the chaos. "Go!" Marcus shouted at them. "The tunnel! Run now!" Zira understood immediately. She grabbed the nearest girls. "Everyone down! The service tunnel! This is our chance!" The girls ran. Some were scared. Some were confused. But Zira and the older ones pushed them forward. They disappeared into the remaining pit entrance, heading down to the lowest level. Guards were recovering now. They saw Marcus. They saw the escaping girls. Grell was screaming orders. "Stop them! Kill the human!" Marcus picked up a piece of metal debris. It was not much of a weapon, but it was something. He stood in front of the pit entrance. Blood dripped into his eyes. His broken ribs made every breath agony, but he did not move. "You want them?" Marcus said. "You go through me." 3 guards approached. They were Krath. Each one was twice Marcus's size. Each one could break him in half without trying. They raised their weapons. Marcus thought about Emma, about her smile, about the 47 girls running through darkness below his feet, about the lunchbox still in his ship. He thought about what it meant to be human, to protect the young, to fight impossible odds, to never give up. The guards fired. Marcus dodged the first shot, blocked the second with his metal shield. The third hit him in the shoulder, and he went down. Pain like fire spread through his body. He could not get up. His vision was going dark, but he had bought time. The girls were deep in the tunnels now. The guards could not follow. They were too big. The girls were gone. Marcus smiled through bloody teeth. "Too late," he whispered. "They are free." Grell stood over him. "You destroyed my operation. You cost me millions. For what? For some worthless slaves?" "Not slaves," Marcus said. "Children, daughters. And they are worth everything." Grell raised his weapon to finish Marcus. Then alarms started blaring. Not colony alarms. These were different, bigger. Ships were appearing in orbit, Galactic Council vessels. They had received Marcus's message. They had come faster than he expected. They must have had ships nearby. A voice boomed over every speaker in the colony. "This is Galactic Council enforcement. We have evidence of illegal trafficking and forced labor. This facility is under immediate investigation. All personnel are ordered to stand down. Any resistance will be met with force." Grell's hand shook. He looked at the sky. He looked at Marcus. Then he stepped back. The guards lowered their weapons. They had no choice. Fighting the Council meant death. The Krath Empire might be powerful, but even they could not ignore galactic law. Not when caught this publicly. Marcus lay on the ground and laughed. It hurt. Everything hurt. But he laughed anyway. He had done it. He had bought enough time. The girls were in the tunnel. The Council was here. It was over. He closed his eyes and let the darkness take him. His last thought was of Emma, of her smile, of her telling him he was the bestest. Maybe he was. Maybe today he was. Marcus woke up in a hospital ship. Everything hurt. His chest was wrapped in bandages. His shoulder was in a cast. Machines beeped around him. A medical drone hovered nearby, checking his vital signs. "You are awake," a voice said. It was a Galactic Council officer. She was from a species Marcus did not recognize. She had silver skin and kind eyes. "You are very lucky to be alive, Marcus Webb. You should be dead." "The girls," Marcus said. His throat was dry. "Did they make it?" The officer smiled. "Yes, all 47 of them. They emerged from the service tunnel exactly where you said they would. 2 kilometers outside the colony. We found them waiting there. They refused to leave until we confirmed you were alive." Marcus felt tears running down his face. "They are safe?" "They are safe," the officer confirmed. "We have medical teams treating them. They are malnourished and injured, but they will recover. Thanks to you." "Not just me," Marcus said. "They saved themselves. They did the work. They had the courage." "Perhaps," the officer said, "but you gave them hope. You gave them tools and knowledge. You gave them a chance." She pulled up a screen showing video footage. "We also received your message with all the evidence. We had ships in a nearby system. We came as fast as we could." "What happens now?" Marcus asked. "The Krath operation is shut down. All personnel are under arrest. We found evidence of 23 other colonies running similar operations. Over 3,000 children have been enslaved. We are raiding all of them." The officer's expression turned hard. "This will cause a diplomatic incident with the Krath Empire, but the evidence is too clear. They cannot deny this." "Good," Marcus said. "What about the girls here?" "We are working to reunite them with families where possible. For those who have no families to return to, the council will provide care and education. They will have good lives." The officer hesitated. "Several of the girls have asked to see you. Are you well enough for visitors?" Marcus nodded. His ribs hurt, but he did not care. "Yes. Please." The officer left. A few minutes later, the door opened. Zira walked in first. She was clean now. She wore new clothes. Her bruises were healing. Behind her came more girls. The small blue one, the human girl with scars. Others he recognized. They crowded into the room. They were all holding something. Emma's lunchbox. "We found this in your ship," Zira said. "Before the Galactic Council took everything as evidence, we grabbed it. We told them it was ours, that we needed it." Marcus smiled. "You are right. It is yours now." The small blue girl climbed onto the bed carefully, avoiding Marcus's injuries. She held up the lunchbox. "Look, we added more." The lunchbox was covered in new markings, more names, more symbols, but also words in different languages. Thank you, freedom, hope, dad. That last word was written 47 times in 47 different ways. "You are our dad now," the blue girl said simply. "You saved us. That is what dads do." Marcus could not stop crying. "I do not know how to be a dad to 47 daughters." "You already are," Zira said. "You were from the moment you decided to help us, when you came into the darkness with just a lunchbox and a promise." Over the next weeks, Marcus recovered slowly. The girls visited every day. They told him stories. They showed him drawings they made. They talked about their dreams for the future. Some wanted to be doctors. Others wanted to be pilots. One wanted to open a bakery. The small blue girl wanted to be a teacher. The Galactic Council investigation made headlines across every system. The public was outraged. The Krath Empire faced sanctions. The Emperor himself issued an apology and promised reforms. It would not bring back the years stolen from these children, but it was something. Marcus gave testimony to investigators. He told them everything. He showed them the plans, the schedules, the evidence. The Krath involved in the operation received harsh sentences. Grell was sentenced to life imprisonment. The guards faced criminal charges. But the biggest change was in the law itself. The Council passed new protections for children across all member worlds. Trafficking penalties increased. Inspections became mandatory. Whistleblower protections strengthened. They called it the Zerion Protocol, after the colony where it started. 3 months after the rescue, Marcus was released from medical care. His shoulder would never be the same. His ribs ached when it rained. But he was alive. More importantly, he had a purpose again. The Council offered him a job. They wanted him to train rescue teams, to teach others how to identify trafficking operations, to help save more children. Marcus accepted immediately, but first he had 47 goodbyes to make. The girls were being sent to different worlds, to families, schools, and care facilities. They could not all stay together. It broke Marcus's heart, but he knew it was best for them. They each needed their own chance at a normal life. The day came for the first group to leave. 20 girls were heading to various planets. They gathered at the spaceport. Marcus gave each one a hug. He told them to be brave, to remember they survived, to never forget they were stronger than they knew. "Will we see you again?" the small blue girl asked. She was going to a good family on her homeworld. They had been searching for her for 3 years. "Yes," Marcus promised. "I will visit. I will write. You are my daughters now. All of you. Distance does not change that." Zira was in the last group to leave. She was going to a school for gifted students. She wanted to become an engineer. She wanted to build better things than mining pits. "Thank you, Marcus," she said, "for being crazy enough to help, for being human enough to care." "Thank you," Marcus said, "for being brave enough to hope, for trusting a stranger with a lunchbox." "What will you do with it?" Zira asked, pointing at the lunchbox Marcus held. "With Emma's box?" Marcus looked down at it. It was battered now, scratched and dented, covered in names and symbols and words of hope. It had carried his grief for 2 years. Now it carried something else, proof that one person could make a difference, that darkness could be defeated, that love was stronger than evil. "The Galactic Council wants to put it in a museum," Marcus said. "They want it to be a symbol, a reminder of what happened here, of the girls who refused to give up, of the human who stepped into the darkness with nothing but hope and determination." "That sounds right," Zira said. "Emma would be proud. We are all proud to share her box." "She would have liked you all," Marcus said. His voice broke. "She would have been your friend." "She is," Zira said. "In a way, she is why we are free. You carried her memory with you. That memory gave you the strength to help us. So she saved us too." Marcus hugged Zira one last time. Then she boarded her transport. He watched all the ships leave. One by one, they took his daughters to new lives, better lives, safe lives. He stood alone in the spaceport, holding the lunchbox. He thought about Emma, about the day she picked out this pink box with flowers, about her smile, about her saying he was the bestest. "I hope I made you proud, baby girl," Marcus whispered. "I hope you know I love you. Always." The lunchbox felt warm in his hands. Maybe it was his imagination. Maybe it was just the sun. But Marcus chose to believe it was something more, a message from his daughter, telling him he did good, telling him he was the bestest. Marcus walked toward his new ship. The council had given him a small vessel for his rescue work. It was nothing fancy, but it was his. He placed the lunchbox in the co-pilot seat, its usual spot. He had work to do, more children to save, more darkness to fight, more hope to carry. But he was not alone. He had 47 daughters out there, 47 reasons to keep going, 47 girls who called him dad, and one daughter in his heart who started it all. Marcus Webb smiled. For the first time since Emma died, he felt whole again, not because the pain was gone, but because he had turned that pain into purpose. He had taken his grief and used it to light the way for others. He started the ship's engines. The stars waited. Somewhere out there, a child needed help. And Marcus Webb, the human who stepped into darkness with nothing but a lunchbox and love, would find them. Because that is what dads do. They protect, they save, they never give up. They carry hope, even in the darkest places.